my blocks set up in fish pose if you are so desiring or you have your blocks available. If not, I'll start out in Savasana and we'll get started. So meet me on the mat in whatever lying position suits you. Making sure that the block under the head is firmly planted and the one under our back is at a height where we can still breathe comfortably. And let's start off with a few deep breaths in through the nose, and we'll sigh it out through the mouth. 2 more just like that, letting go of any emotion or energy that may not serve us, that we may be aware of, or simply just to let out the stale air and breathe in fresh new air and light. Allowing our breath to assume its natural rhythm in and out through the nose. Noticing the contact our bodies make on the earth below or our blocks. Noticing the steady inhale and exhale, the rising and falling of our rib cage. Taking a moment to get a sense of the mood and the energy of our body, and what we might be bringing to the mat today. And perhaps we set an intention for our practice, remaining present in the moment, aware of the physical sensations and our breath. Using our breath as a guide to not fall too far, too fast into any pose. And of course, letting go of judgment, competition, or expectation, but rather honoring the state of our body. Removing any blocks from underneath us if we had them. And bringing our awareness back to the space around us, the sounds, the smells, and the temperature. Drawing our feet in towards our glutes, about hip-width apart. And we'll windshield wiper the legs left to right, starting off with a gentle rotation, checking in with the hips, the hip flexors and the quadricep muscles, the lower back and the abdomen, noticing any sensations and how everything is connected. Moving and pausing at speeds that feel good for our body. One more big breath here. we'll all come back to center, hugging the knees into the chest. Gentle Upasana hug. Maybe starting off with our hands on top of our shins, rocking left to right. Just continuing the gentle dynamic motion while we get a sense of how we're feeling, where we might be holding tension. And then placing our right foot on the mat, we hold our left knee in, giving it a little bit of a tighter hug into the chest. Now we'll wrap our hands around the back of the thigh, interlacing, flexing our feet. And on the exhalation, we extend the heel up to the sky, keeping the knee hugged towards the chest. Inhaling, we release the knee. We release the heel down. And then exhaling, we extend the leg back up. Repeating this motion with the rhythm of our breath. Hopefully starting to feel an opening in the back of the left leg with each extension. One more, and we'll hold the last one at the top. Option here to grab onto the toe and continue to extend. We'll do some openers and some cross-body extensions, or option to wrap our strap around the bottom of the foot. Bending at the knee while we get into position. We keep the strap nice and tight with the hands close to the chest. The shoulder blades are on our mat. And we slowly, either with our fingertips or the strap, we open our left leg, keeping our hips facing the sky. Maybe we start to open our right leg and allow it to run long on the mat. We go to wherever feels comfortably uncomfortable. Maintaining softness in our face and our jaw. Beautiful. Bringing the left leg back over top of our hips, gently and slowly. And then we'll cross it over to the right, working through the IT bend. Again, either holding on to the toes. This time we may want to put our right fingers around the big toe. Noticing what happens down the outside of the left leg. Again, a calmness in our upper body as we slowly start to create space down the left side of the leg. Good, and bringing the left foot back over the hip. Let's release, bringing the heel back down towards the glute. Bringing the right leg back in, and we'll cross the left leg over, figure four. That should feel nice in the hip joint, hugging it in. Either bringing the hands on top of the shin or behind the thigh. Loose or tight, rocking or still. Bringing the right foot back to the earth, walking it to the outer edge of the mat, coming into a spinal twist over to the left, either in our figure 4 or crossing the left leg over the right a little bit more for added intensity. Listening to our lower back, checking in, and finding a placement for our hands on our abdomen or at the sides or above our head, depending on how loose we're feeling. Always being gentle with our body and listening to what it needs. Breathing space and awareness into any areas of discomfort. And hopefully noticing gentle transformations. Good. On the next inhale, we bring our knees back to center and we'll hug ourselves back in, bringing the knees towards the chest. And again, you know, light or tight, rocking or still. Great. We'll do the same sequence on the right side. So bringing our left foot to the earth, we wrap our hands around the back of our right thigh. We flex the foot. We drive the heel all the way up. And then inhale, we bring the heel back down. Exhale, we draw the heel up. Inhale, bringing it down. Repeating this with our breath, noticing the pauses at the top and the bottom. Softness in our faces and our shoulders. Three more. This last one we'll hold at the top. And as we did on the other side, we can either grab our big toe with our fingers, extending it up, or we can wrap our strap around the bottom of our foot, drawing the hands down towards our chest, finding that extension of the foot, and then slowly bringing the right leg open, keeping the hips upwards, and perhaps we float our left leg long for a bit of stability, coming into our extension that feels comfortably uncomfortable, where we're activating the right inner thigh muscle, starting to create an opening, releasing energy, and softness in the face and jaw. Great, bringing the right leg up over the hip, resetting here, and then we'll come over to the left side, noticing what happens down the outer edge of the right leg. Perhaps we're feeling some new sensations, being gentle, and of course honoring the state of our body. For some of us, this doesn't have to be a big movement to feel energy, to feel tightness and tension. perhaps we bring a little bit more awareness to those areas. Breathing light and warmth into them. And celebrating micro gains. Good. Coming back to center. Releasing the right foot, releasing the strap if we had it, maybe rolling out the foot, and then we'll draw the left leg in. We cross our right leg over top and we hug it in, figure four. Behind the thigh or on top of the shin, rocking, pulsing, or finding stillness. And into our spinal twist here, we bring our left foot back to the earth. We keep our legs in figure four, or we slowly bring our right leg across the left if it feels accessible. Noticing what happens and changes in the lower back of the left side, maybe even the abdomen. And finding a placement for our hands. Breathing awareness into areas of discomfort. And just sitting with those areas. Seeing how they transform, being curious about them. Noticing if we might become distracted, and just bringing our awareness back to the physical sensations. Last big breath here. And we'll slowly let our legs come back to center, untwisting. And then we'll hug the knees back into the chest. Option here to hold our hug. Option to come into a supported bridge pose. Option to float our legs over our head into a plow pose, listening to our bodies, taking a moment here to perhaps stretch out the lower back, to find length in the lower back, or to engage the glutes coming into a bridge, or to continue working through the hip flexors and lower back in our Vipassana hug. Deciding what might be best for us, or perhaps choosing and exploring all three. When we're ready, we have our block, if we choose plow pose, to put underneath our feet. Perhaps our toes need a little bit of support. They need something to ground into, coming up onto our shoulders, and starting to feel energy through our spine. Honoring and celebrating our bodies, wherever they may be, in whatever pose might suit us. Checking in with our breath, noticing a calm and steady rhythm, and if not, perhaps we ease out of whatever pose we're in order to find that inner balance. Being being curious and mindful of our bodies. 3 more breaths. And from wherever we arrived, we slowly come out of it. We come back into Savasana nice and slowly, allowing our lower backs to assume their natural curvature. And bringing our feet back, hip width apart, firmly planted on the mat, and we'll lower the knees to one side. We're going to press ourselves up into our deer pose, so keeping both legs at about a 45-degree angle, kind of like a double figure 4. Grabbing a sip of water as desired. While continuing to explore the hips and the lower back, we'll do some side bends to float through and open up the side body. So, lifting one arm at a time, we'll slowly float left to right, supporting with our hands on the ground. Inhale, reaching one arm up. Exhale, planting it back down. Floating through left to right. Gentle movements to slowly move energy around and to clear blockages. The next time we reach our front arm back, we'll hold here, reaching over our faces and our ear, breathing through the fingertips, down the arm, down the side body, into the lower back and hip. Noticing a softening of the body as it releases tension. And on the next inhale, we'll bring the other arm up, windmilling the arms, and slowly walking the fingertips out, supporting ourselves, reaching the arm long alongside, finding length between the fingertips and the hip, supporting ourselves with our hand or our forearm. Calm, steady rhythm of breath. And we'll slowly start to roll our torso over top of the front knee. Bringing both hands to the earth, extending the arms long. And melting over our front leg. Again, supporting ourselves with our hands or our forearms. And on the next inhale, we lift our torso and we slowly start to walk our hands to the front, exploring areas along the way. Noticing sensations we might have in our hips, our lower backs, our neck. And once we get to the front, as far as we can walk our hands, we hang out here for a few breaths. Noticing the extension of our arms, opening of our side body. And perhaps we're able to hang our heads heavy between our arms. On the next inhale, we press our torso up. We walk our hands in back into our deer pose, finding length in our torso. And we're going to switch our legs over to the other side. And we'll repeat the sequence, finding our core. Once we get into position, we inhale, lifting one arm. Exhale, lowering it. And windmilling the arms left to right. Slowly finding a fluid movement of the arms into the side body. Inhaling and opening. Exhaling a release. Noticing the pauses at the top and bottom. And those moments of stillness and peace. And perhaps we're starting to notice a release of energy, supporting our bodies. And the next time we lift our arm over the front knee, we hold there. Beautiful. Good. Reaching back over the back leg. Perfect. Opening into the side body, reaching the arm long, finding length between your fingertips down through the lower back. Supporting with the back hand. Calm, steady rhythm of breath as the body settles into the pose and starts to let go of blocked energy. Good. Windmilling the hands to the other side. Supporting with our front hand onto the hand, maybe onto the forearm, reaching the upper arm long, finding a nice straight line between the fingertips and the hip. Deep breaths to massage along the spine and the side body. Now with each exhalation, we'll slowly curve the upper arm, rotating our torso so that we are slowly melting over our front leg, bringing our hands to the earth, extending them long, and slowly starting to notice what changes in the side body and lower back. Starting to walk our hands around to the front slowly and steadily. And once we get as far as we can walk, we breathe into the opposite side of the lower back and side body. Perhaps we're able to let our heads hang heavy, Releasing tension on the neck. Big breaths for the calming and melting effects and benefits. Good. On the next inhale, we'll walk the hands in, stacking the vertebrae, lifting our torsos back up, rolling our shoulders back, and we'll extend our legs long into Dandasana. Giving the knees a little wiggle. And we'll shift our hips over to the right edge of the mat, bringing our left leg into a tree pose. Left hand is under our shoulder. We'll slowly come up into a half bridge, half bow, wild thing. Planting our right foot, lifting our right arm up and over. Perhaps we reach it beyond the left arm, arching the lower back, pressing the hips forward or up. Seeing if we can't get an opening across the chest, down the arms, the abdomen. Calm, steady rhythm of breath for 3, for 2, and 1. Releasing out of that. Slow and steady. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite leg. So bringing our left hip over to the left side of the mat. Right leg comes inwards, seated tree. Right hand is under the shoulder. We plant our left foot. We lift our left arm up and over. And again, exploring across the chest, down the arms, through the abdomen, the lower back, and of course our necks. Engaging the glutes, pressing the hips up and forward. For 3, for 2, last big breath. And we'll transition out. Bringing our arm down, bringing our hip down. And extending our legs long. Gentle transition. Good. Keeping both hands behind us, underneath our shoulders. Bringing our feet back in, hip width apart. And we'll float our hips up into a reverse table. So when ready, we press into the earth with our feet. We lift our hips, stacking the knees on top of our shoulders. Oh, and checking in with the fronts of our arms, the biceps, the chest, the shoulders. Moving our heads around, making sure that we're not holding tension in the neck unnecessarily. Three, 4, 2. Last big breath. And we'll slowly lower ourselves down. Bring our legs over to the left side and we'll float into a kneeling pose here. Bring our feet underneath. Flats of our feet pressing into the earth to start. And we'll bring our hands behind our back, interlacing the fingers, rolling the shoulders back. Driving the knuckles towards our feet, lifting the hands off as possible. Tall torsos, finding length between the tailbone and the crown of the head. Continuing the opening across the chest and down the arms, in through the wrists. Yum. One more big breath, seeing if we can't lift a bit higher. Chests are up. And we release. Good. Coming into a toes pose here, bringing all 5 toes underneath, making sure they're cooperating and connected to the mat. Nice. Rolling our shoulders up and back. Finding that length. Good. And let's cross our arms into eagle. Left under right. Palms face inwards. Inhaling, we reach up. Exhale, we lower. Inhaling up. Breathing into the upper back. Noticing perhaps some energy across the fronts of the shoulders. Noticing energy in the toes and the balls of the feet. Building our resilience, knowing this won't last forever. That every physical sensation will at some point change. And we'll do one more. Good. Releasing the arms, releasing the toes, coming into all fours and tapping that out as desired. Coming back into our kneeling pose. Bringing our hands onto our thighs. On the inhales, we'll reach our arms up over our shoulders. On the exhales, we'll come to a side, rotating gently, fingertips to the earth, looking over our shoulder. Inhale, we reach all the way up. Exhale to the opposite side, gentle twists, looking over our shoulders. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, twist. Inhaling, reach up, gaze up. Exhaling, twist. And we repeat with the rhythm of our breath. Calm and steady. On this next one, we'll hold in our twist. Holding here for a few breaths. Gazing over our shoulder, noticing what might be happening in the neck, the upper back and shoulder. One more big breath. And on the next inhale, we reach our arms all the way up, gazing up. Twisting to the other side on the exhalation, holding here. Using our fingertips to help guide our twist and to maintain a tall torso, gazing over our shoulders, breathing into areas of discomfort. Perhaps noticing a softening in the front of the neck, the opposite shoulder.
One more big breath here. And on the next inhale, we reach up, gaze up.
And we bring our hands back down to our thighs. Resetting. Bringing our toes underneath our shins again, toes close. We eagle our arms again, making sure all 5 toes are underneath us. And this time, right arm under left, palms facing inwards. Inhaling, we lift our arms up. Exhaling, we lower them. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Repeating with the movement to our breath. Noticing physical sensations down the arms, perhaps into the shoulders. Two more. And finishing this one, we release out of our pose, bringing our hands to the earth, all fours, tapping out our feet as desired. And staying here in all fours, bringing our hands under our chest, knees underneath our hips, and we can shift left to right. Letting our heads hang heavy. Adding lateral flexion, noticing the sensations in the side body. Likely from the armpit down to the hip. Perhaps even across the lower back into the glutes. One more big breath on each side. Coming back to neutral, curling our toes under our shins, lifting up into a down dog. Deep breaths in, and exhaling, lifting the hips, pressing the heels towards the earth. Perhaps we take a moment to pedal out the sensations in the back of our legs, or to explore them. Or perhaps we prefer stillness. Good. Meeting up in neutral down dog, finding a grounding of our hands, lengthening of our spine and neck, lifting our left leg off the earth, pressing our weight through the back of the right heel. And we gaze forward. We're going to float our left leg into a very low lunge. Bringing our right knee to the earth. Flattening our right foot. And we're slowly hinging forward. Melting into the right hip flexor. Perhaps we grab our block. If we need a little support, we need to bring the ground closer up to us. Of course, we have our fingertips and our fists. And as possible, we lift our chest and our torso tall, sinking into the right hip flexor. Noticing the sensations, being gentle, remembering that we hold a lot of emotion in our psoas that runs down through the hip flexor. Noticing a softening in the shoulders. Perhaps we're starting to come a little closer to the floor. Finding stability with our right hand. We can open our left foot a little bit wider in order to plant our right hand on the mat, wiggling ourselves left to right. Being curious as to our flexibility. Softness in our faces and our necks. And we can come into a gentle twist with our left arm reaching back, pressing our left foot and our right hand into the earth, finding stability here, an option to lift our right foot off the earth, opening our chest, and perhaps we even add a stretch of the right quadricep muscle, the left side of our chest, lifting and lengthening. Bringing the floor up towards us in order to keep an open chest and heart. Noticing gentle transitions and sensations and micro gains in our flexibility. For 3, for 2, last big breath, and we release out of that, coming back to center. Let's extend that left leg all the way. This will feel good on the knee. There you go. Lifting the toes up. Again, we have our blocks to bring the ground closer as needed, or our fingertips. Lengthening the torso on the inhalation. Exhaling, hinging over that front leg. It's all about listening to our bodies and finding balance and inner peace. Smiles on our faces, appreciating the micro gains we're making, the head space that we're creating, and the length in our leg and spine. Beautiful. Floating forward into our lunge. Planting both hands, and we come back into all fours. Wiggling that out as desirable. Stepping back into our down dog when we're ready. Continuing to allow our body to guide our movements. Intuitively shifting our weight or finding stillness. Perhaps we're starting to create new patterns, break up old ones. And we all meet up in a neutral down dog, finding grounding of our hands. We lift our right leg off the earth, holding here for a few breaths. Pressing our weight through the left heel. Letting our head hang nice and heavy. And we'll gaze forward and we'll slowly float into our low lunge right leg. Planting the foot, lowering our left knee. Planting and flattening that back foot, and we're slowly hinging forward. We're melting into the left hip flexor, and as we find stability, we can slowly lift our chest and our torso, our gaze, and soften the upper body and the face as we melt towards the earth, opening into the hip flexor slowly and gently, bringing the earth closer towards us as needed. And noticing our bodies start to release tension, to soften. Bringing our left hand to the earth, planting it, walking our right foot out in order to find stability. And we can shift left to right, once again finding and being curious of the sensations in our left hip. How those sensations wrap around our back. And then finding ourselves into a very gentle twist with our right arm reaching open. Option to hold here, option to float the left foot off the earth. Working ourselves into an opening of the chest and the quadricep. Listening to our body. Breathing into areas of discomfort, noticing how they transform. Beautiful. Releasing out of that, coming back to center, extending our right leg long, sinking our hips back, lifting our toes off the earth. And again, we have our blocks if we need to bring the earth closer. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhaling, hinging over the right leg. Feeling a yummy extension of the leg through the calf, up through the toes, pointed to the sky. Beautiful. Floating ourselves forwards into our lunge and coming into all fours, planting the hands under the chest, knees come under the hips, and we can float left to right. Once again, rinsing that out. And coming into our kneeling pose, we'll do one camel, grabbing onto our heels and our ankles, lifting our torsos tall. Of course, we have blocks that we can put behind us to grab our hands on top of. If we're unable to reach into our heels, lifting and pressing the chest forward. Breathing across the chest, engaging the lower back and the glutes. Three, two, and one. Coming all the way back down, releasing out of the chest and shoulders, bringing the hips back down to our heels, and we're floating into easy seated pose or fire logs, bringing the left leg on top or in front. Quick sip of water. Final chance to work into the hips, the back of the hips and the glutes. Bringing our arms up over our shoulders, inhaling, exhaling, hinging forward, bringing our hands to the earth wherever they connect naturally. Lengthening with our inhalation, melting with the exhalation. Slowly bringing our chest over top of our left leg. Finding our block as needed for support. Breathing into areas of discomfort. That might be in the left hip or the lower back. Three more big breaths. And on the next inhale, we'll slowly press ourselves up, stacking the vertebrae, shoulders and head. Pressing away from the earth, releasing out of that. And then we'll cross the right leg over or in front of the left, balancing ourselves out. Helping along the way. And when we're ready, we lift our torso tall, we inhale and reach our arms all the way over our shoulders. Exhaling, hinging forward, bringing our hands to the earth, and slowly, with a nice flat back, we hinge forward. Melting into the back of the hip and the glute. Finding support with our hands, forearms, fists, or blocks. Noticing the distractions that may come into our minds. Noting them as feelings or thoughts. Letting them float by like clouds in a blue sky afternoon. Bringing our awareness back to the physical sensations and our breath. Three more big breaths here. On the next inhale, we'll press ourselves up, pressing the earth away with our hands, stacking the vertebrae, shoulders, and head. And we release out of that, extending our legs long, giving them a little wiggle. Wiggling out the feet, rolling, circling, crunching, flexing, pointing. And we'll come into an easy seated or kneeling pose to finish our practice today. Whatever feels the most comfortable on our body, bringing our backs of our hands to our thighs, finding length in our torso, smiles in our faces. We take a moment to run through a quick body scan from head to toe, noticing the energy and the mood of our body and how it may have changed from the beginning of our practice. Noticing new lightness, and a deepening of our breath. Bringing our awareness back to the breath. And taking a moment to reflect on our intention, or perhaps setting one for the days ahead. Honoring our bodies, our emotions, and our thoughts. Remembering that not speaking our truth only hurts us. Finding the confidence from within to find our voice and to be true to ourselves, and allowing our authentic selves to continue to shine brightly. Bringing our hands to heart center, we give thanks for the opportunity to move, to release tension, to connect with our bodies and minds, and to connect to this community. Thank you all for joining me. I wish you a beautiful continuation. Namaste.